Thank you all for being here today. As you witnessed in the Senate Committee of Natural Resources, the issues that we have here in Sacramento is that we cannot do good policy that represents our constituents. That when you truly put forward a solution here in Sacramento, it's partisan politics that destroy the fabric of what is California. I am ashamed and I am angry today because I stand here with a family who has entrusted their elected leaders to make a decision to save lives, not a decision to save their re-election campaigns. I'm here with the sheriff of Dorado County, who has seen day after day. It was his deputies who were there the day that we lost Taylen Brooks. And we're here with the family, the Brooks family, who every single day has to ask why. Why did this tragedy happen, and when will it happen again? Because without Senate Bill 818, it will happen again. And the blood and flesh of the next victim of a mountain lion in California will be on that committee. And I hope you will all be here again to ask why. Sheriff, I'd like to pass to you.
Yeah, I would just like to add that the bill, as it was in its original language, was a good bill, a very good bill that provided public safety and public protection to allow trained and certified houndsmen to go out and haze mountain lions to get them to run off at the sound of a dog. They amended that bill and made it a bad bill. I just want to add that, in what I heard today, the American River Canyon is 15 miles away from Dorado County. And we've experienced livestock and domestic pet losses at an astronomical level. And what's going to happen when those mountain lions start making their way down the American River Canyon and they get down into Sacramento County and they can't find a goat pen to jump in from people that have goats that are trying to exercise fire protection and have goats on their property. When these mountain lions can't find that food source and they make their way down that American River Canyon to Sacramento County, is it going to be a problem then? So I'm about public safety, and make no mistake, when it comes to mountain lion encounters in Dorado County, we'll continue to work with our partners, and we'll do everything in our power to protect the citizens of Dorado County. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and look at the camera,
Yep.
sir. Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to actually just deliver a statement?
Yes, or let's just start with, can you please give your first and last name, sir, and direct it to the cameras?
Malcolm Brooks. I am the uncle of Taylen and Wyatt.
Share with us with your reaction today in terms of what happened in the committee room, sir.
Okay, yeah. This is a bill that already has a policy precedent to it. In the state of Washington relaxed their management policies on mountain lions, kind of in the same fashion that California did years ago, and the resulting problems with both livestock depredations and attacks on humans caused them to backpedal and start to use private hound handlers, again, under state licensing provisions, to follow this known technique of preventing problems from occurring in the first place by encouraging lions to remain evasive of human presence and human habitation zones. It works up there. This is an old technique. It relies on, evolutionary responses that the lions themselves have relative to the way they interact with other predators in other environments. The reason they run up trees is because they were conditioned to do that by wolf packs thousands of years ago. And humans have adapted to that natural tendency of the mountain lion, and if that is, a source of external pressure that is consistent and regular, it tends to keep mountain lions very, very wary and evasive of humans just categorically across the board, to the degree where you don't, if a lion is behaving with its natural sort of hard wiring on the operating system, they avoid humans altogether. I grew up in El Dorado County. In those days, they still used hound pursuit, tree and free, non-lethal, what you would call catch and release hound pursuit on that lion population. And as a result, if a lion was actually seen in broad daylight, it would make the news. It was such a rare event. There were no attacks on humans. There were no interactions with humans. Proposition 117 changed that because it ended the ability to non-lethally pursue mountain lions with hound dogs. And it took, literally within 2 or 3 years, their behavior had palpably changed. Within 5 years, there was the first human fatality in El Dorado County, but also in the state of California in a century. And then it escalated from there. We're at a point now, after 35 years of lion behavior, that it has gotten so far away from any sort of meaningful management pressure being applied to them that we're almost dealing with a new species of mountain lion because they've been allowed to habituate to human presence for so long and over so many generations that now it's a matter of attempting a situation that should have been fixed decades ago or never allowed to happen in the first place. Now we got to almost rewind history and start over from scratch to be able to get these animals to start to behave in a way that actually benefits the lion population itself, because it's preferable to stop these lions from getting into a problematic conflict situation on the front end and let the lion just remain in its natural habitat with its natural fear of humans in place. The other alternative is habituated lion is going to result in a dead lion eventually because it doesn't know to not get into problematic situations. That's really kind of the root of the problem.
Mr. Brooks, I have a question. Press, if you have questions, direct them. Mr. Brooks, it's been more than a year since your family was lost.
Yes.
How's it been like for you? You guys came up here to Sacramento to fight for this bill.
Yes.
What's it been like for you?
Oh, it's one of those situations where it was a day that literally changed the arc of our entire family's life. By complete chance, I happen to be a professional writer, and I have a book under contract that I am generally working on. But so much of my time was diverted from that to dealing with the aftermath and the fallout, of this situation. This landed on the family like a nuclear bomb. We've never experienced any sort of family tragedy that even gets close to this situation. So as a result of that, honestly, I think just the collective wish out of all of this to bring some kind of a redemptive dimension to it or some kind of closure to it is really what led us to this point today, where other families in the past have had to deal with mountain lion attacks and mountain lion tragedies, but none of those resulted in a family standing in the Capitol a year later attempting to actually meaningfully get something done on a legislative basis. So it sort of just galvanized us to make sure that what happened to Wyatt and what happened to Taylen is not just something that becomes a footnote in a history book, but actually does something to bring some socially constructive closure to it.
So there's currently a study in El Dorado County and in 4 of my other counties in the district. It started in January 2025. It's from the University of Utah. They are currently using hazing with hounds as a non-lethal depredation approach. They're currently using this in the study. So how would it interfere with a study that's going to be completed by the time we get this program up and going? The program is set to be up and going by January of 2027. There is no absolute way that it would interfere with the study that will be done long before that.
Somebody else have any questions?
Okay, the amendments as they were written pretty much totally undermined or gutted the original provision, with working dogs, which we know. I mean, I've spent a tremendous amount of time researching this topic over the last year. I've written about it. I've written about it for the New York Times. We basically just know that what they're proposing is already more or less in place relative to diversionary tactics that you can do for livestock protection. Our main thrust with this is the public safety part of it, because flashing lights and radios outside of livestock pens don't do a thing, on the public safety front. But we have an increasingly serious public safety concern there. We know what works. It's putting the fear of humans back into the mountain lion population. There is one known methodology for doing this, and it involves hound pursuit. So, in the spirit of keeping the integrity of what our purpose is alive, we really couldn't, in good conscience, go ahead and allow the bill to be completely redrafted in a way that just completely removed what we know to work for this particular concern.
I know you just got out of the committee meeting, but is there any sense of what you'd like to see next in terms of next steps with this?
Well, I mean, I'm not a politician, so I'm not super, I'm not totally up to speed on what the process would be, but we're not going to stop in this fight. We do want meaningful mountain lion management to be restored in California. It's been absent for 35 years, okay? So Proposition 117 was such an overarching document that it basically has hamstrung the State Department of Fish and Wildlife from really being able to do much in the way that other states manage, this particular species. And undoing Proposition 117 that's the hugest lift in the world, because it would have to be done, through another popular ballot process. So anything that we can do to work with that existing language and just try to work within that framework while restoring some of the methodologies that, were initially believed to be encompassed by that language. It's interesting because in 117, there is no specific language that actually forbids tree and free hound use. It's just, it's been assumed that would be encompassed by some of the vaguer sort of like non-stressor type language. When the representative from the Mountain Lion Foundation was testifying, and she flat declared SB 818 to be an illegal proposition, clearly it's not, or that would have come up while it was already in committee previously. We're going to keep fighting is the long answer to it, but in what the next step is, we'll figure that out. Time will tell. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, Wyatt's.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Senator.
I'm sorry, one more quick question.
Yeah.
And I know you sort of addressed this, but can you speak to what this fight has meant to the family as you've grappled with the loss of your nephew?
Well, you get that, the phone call that nobody ever wants to get, right? And, you're going about your day, you're doing your thing, you're making your plans, and then the phone rings, and you know who's on the other end of the phone, but you don't know that the first thing that's out of the first message that's going to come through that thing is, I've got bad news. And then, so your mind goes a million different directions, and automatically you think fatal car wreck, or, one of the more, for lack of a better word, typical ways that a family can deal with, a loss like this. And then you hear that it's this, and it puts the whole thing into such a surreal dimension that it took a while just even to get our footing with it. And Wyatt, initially, his injuries were severe enough that was, the immediate, honestly, and this almost sounds, this is a rough thing to have to say, but we're just so grateful that this wasn't a worse outcome than it actually was. So in some ways, we had a real mix of loss, but also gratitude. And at the end of the day, we just were okay, I mean, we need to honor these boys by doing something to make something constructive come out of it. And we've all been on that page ever since, and it's occupied a tremendous amount of our time and focus, and I wouldn't do it any differently if I had to repeat it. So, yeah.
Thank you, everybody.